My friend Jojo asked me if I'd play one of his least favorite games of all time, Atomic Heart. I told him yes, so here we are after a few hours of Elden Ring. I'm playing Atomic Heart, so you don't have to. In case it wasn't clear, there will be spoilers ahead. Enjoy! I start off on a nice little boat ride and learn that my character's name is P3. I seem to be some kind of military man in Russia based on all of the posters and Soviet imagery. As I make my way through the main town, I'm equipped with a new glove named Charles, along with the main ability, the scanner, that is activated by giving everyone the L and allows me to see hidden objects, enemies, and raidable cabinets. I take an absurdly long elevator ride to see some hot robots, and then take an absurdly long elevator ride back down, and take an aerial view of the area to find that I was just on a floating island. I travel to another floating island and find that literally every male robot has gone rogue. Only the female robot seems sane and is able to explain the very limited information it has on the situation before giving probably the best voice line in the whole game.
Oh, help me, Comrade Major! I'm falling!
Then I get another concussion, this poor man, as I land on the ground, this time probably not a floating island. Oh, by the way, I am still in the tutorial. I loot some bodies, or try to, I guess, and then meet a mysterious grandma who just evaporates. We probably won't see her later. A giant robot pushes us down another long elevator. Not exactly sure why every elevator in this game is so long, but you know, I guess they just like them long. I loot some cabinets and find my first bit of lore. It's sometime around 1955, and it turns out that there's this guy named Viktor Petrov who seems to be the main man behind all of this weirdness with the robots. Also, Grandma is not allowed on this particular property. She has some secrets with the government, apparently. After beating up some more robots and looting a few more cabinets, I come across my first instance of a lockpicking minigame. I'll let Becky describe it for you.
I hated it. It felt like if Skyrim was worse at lockpicking.
Running back and forth a bit, I fall through the floor and gather a third concussion! Get this man an MRI and some paid leave. The doctor here is fine with it, I guess, but it doesn't really matter because everyone in the vicinity immediately seemingly dies to the tutorial boss with laser vision. After he's dealt with, I open another door with the snap of my fingers, literally. You hear that singing? That's this red fridge, Nora. It is arguably the worst character in the game. She is pretty much here to talk dirty to you as you upgrade your weapons and Charles using the materials you loot from enemies and cabinets. In case you thought we were free from tutorial land, this first purchase is a required tutorial. I chose to get some polymeric jet goop and a frostbite ray because my gamer's intuition believes that this will be a useful combo for defeating enemies. This save finally brings me out of the tutorial. You have now also made it out of the tutorial. If you like this kind of content, let me know and give my buddy Jojo some love. This whole thing really wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for him since it was his idea to begin with. I streamed this whole game over on my Twitch and I'm planning on streaming more now that I have some extra free time. Now, on with the video. After going down some stairs and hearing Moonlight Sonata, I feed a lock a cookie and solve a laser relay puzzle which opens an elevator down. I travel through some more rooms and make my way to an underground cable car line. The control panel requires the player to input specific lights in the right order to operate the door. Then I make my way down to the first mini-boss, which definitely won't become a normal enemy later. Takes me a few tries, but I find that the best strategy is to zap the goop and stunlock the enemy. As long as I keep gooping, they can't escape. Though this strategy kind of falls flat if there's too many enemies or if the enemies can fly. But it's fine. I talk to a few more dead guys and make my way out of the cable car line where I stumble across what appears to be some kind of handgun ammo. Unfortunately, it is impossible to pick it up, so I just have to stare longingly at it and hope that I find some in the future. After watching some cartoons, I find laser walls around another Nora fridge. This is the point where I learned that the game sometimes lies to you. You can clearly see that the skill says that for a limited time, you can survive lethal damage with 1 HP. These lasers said that they would instantly kill you. But I clearly have more than 1 HP, meaning they don't instantly kill you. I have yet to see these lasers again. This is the only time they appear. I have no idea what the game was thinking with this, but you know what? It's fine. Down some more stairs, I find a guy named Victor Petrov. There's also this dying tree, but it's probably not important. Victor is apparently talking to someone who didn't want me to bleed out. At the time, I didn't realize that Victor was talking to the doctor that I thought had died, but had just vanished off the face of the earth. Lucky for you, you get to know that in hindsight. Victor runs off, and I do my best to fight off some evil robots. They beat me up, but I managed to figure out the strategy for large groups is gooping and zapping to stun lock. Here are some more lasers, but do not confuse these lasers with the damage lasers. These are lasers that are impenetrable and cannot be passed. They're invulnerable barriers. Anyways, off to the objective marker. I get a candle, weird shape for a candle, and follow Victor through his door. He ran away through some goop. More rooms later, there's this creepy moon face that needs some canisters in it to open a door. 1, 2, and 3 canisters later, make my way through the weird lunar door. The door leads me to some backrooms factory type place where a whole bunch of robots are patrolling. A few fights and lockpicking puzzles later, I am back to the main room where I find a dead guy, who I assume is Petrov, hoarding the other candle for the main room. With both candles placed to power the main tree room, I find that the electricity from those candles isn't actually enough, and so more items are required. Time to get 4 more canisters to make the tree alive again. In the hot workshop, I cool off the boilers using some blue coolant orbs, and back to the tree with the fire canister. The algae workshop is full of mutants. Luckily, they die in just a few hits as long as I can keep them gooped and zapped. Algae takes a while to grow, so I overclock the producers to make it even faster. 1 lap around and we are back to the tree with the algae canister. Next, the cold workshop, full of many various kinds of fish, including the cowfish. Closing all the lids to the fish tanks solves the puzzle and also makes some soup. Don't worry about what's in the soup. Next main area is a large greenhouse full of more mutants. Taking all these guys out fills up the cold canister. Finally, the pesticide workshop, I get jumped by a worker who is freaking out about some giant tree monster. Few parkour train puzzles later, and the tree monster's gone. And we have the 4th and final canister containing pesticides. With power given to the birch tree, the power supply is restored, and the gate to the complex opens, allowing me to leave up another long elevator ride. I am finally in the open world, except I'm trapped in this village. Now I just have to escape this village, and I'm probably home free for real. Since I can't leave, I meet up with Grandma, since she always has the answers. She lets me watch some TV, even if it's all politics, and gives me a code to hack into the security system. Climb up the tower, deactivate some gates, and leave the village. After wandering around town for a bit, I have found that I can successfully recreate an auditory glitch by simply being too good at the backstabbing QuickTime minigame! Basically, it seems like in the Steam port of the game thinks that because you continue to mash the button, that the game needs to put something there, like an enemy, to process. And then teleports the enemy or reloads some kind of save state back in time to before the backstab event occurred. But the audio that usually plays during the backstab event just continues to play forever. So there you go. It is now stuck. The sound is now just stuck. With that figured out, saving and loading seems to fix the audio bug, and I continue onwards to the train station. But of course I need a ticket, silly me, talk to a few dead people, and find out that a dude in the house from earlier has it. Bringing it back, the robot tells me that of course I don't actually need one since I'm an officer in a state of emergency! Well, go figure. I guess this was all for naught then. The train is immediately attacked by the Omni droid from The Incredibles, and I fall out of the train magically due to plot armor. This guy is one of the scientists that I talk to sometimes over my magic radio that anyone seems to be able to connect to. He works with the same guy who invented Collective, who was also the guy that I work for. Anyways, onward to get revenge. I swear I've had an easier time on Dark Souls bosses. Celebrating victory, I continue towards figuring out why the robots are freaking out so much, and my next destination is the museum. Except I can't get in because everything is locked, and of course, one of the locks is broken. 1 second. While down there, P3 and Charles had a dialogue about the story, how my boss is probably evil, and how it doesn't really make sense that I'm working for him. The experience was kind of like listening to one of those Reddit voiceover videos with Subway Surfers in the background. Basically, I was just doing parkour over a dialogue voiceover about the plot. Now I am actually in the building, though. The robot, whose name is Tereshikova, lost its multi-tool, so I grabbed that. Then I do a little test that she says only humans can solve, even though the robot literally knows the answers. Doesn't really add up, but it's a game, I guess. The robot also says that it can't help me help my boss unless its friend is functioning, so I have to go fix them now. The main body of Tereshikova's friend, whose name is Claire, is on the first floor. Off to the 4 exhibits to find her parts. On the first floor, I do some parkour and fight a big guy, get the leg, and attach it. Second floor has another moon room that opens with some difficulty, revealing some lore. Anyways, Claire's next part was guarded by a giant game of Snake, but got it no problem. Third floor has a giant, creepy mutant that needs to be bashed a bit. Specifically bashed, guns are not very effective apparently. And finally, the fourth floor has the head guarded by many plants. Actually, I also have to move this drill, so let's get that sorted out. I climb up a tower to turn on some power thing to get the drill operational before having problems with the elevator. For some reason, the elevator just would not load the next area. I reset the game on 3 separate occasions before it finally worked. This game has 3 DLCs, by the way. 25 minutes later, and a dream, and the elevator works, and I head back down to the drill, turn it on, and grab the head from the bottom of a replica of the island that we saw at the start of the game. Then I head back to the main area one last time. The twin robot girls do some magical dance and a cutscene plays, revealing the politics I watched with Grandma a while ago are actually relevant now, and he is not happy to see me. Wait, am I a furry?
Come to me.
The fuck is happening? What? One fever dream later, P3's boss arrives and reveals that the dude we work for has some magical blood man that takes care of his problems, and that we may be working for the bad guy, which honestly isn't all that shocking. Also, why is this cutscene so long? It looks cool and all, but it literally only serves the purpose of showing off the pretty robots. And I like pretty robots as much as the next guy, but seriously? Seems strangely fleshed out for a single cutscene. Anyways, another concussion and elevator ride later. I'm back on the surface, needing to travel a very large distance to the next objective. I hop in a car and just zoom as fast as possible. Upon arriving at the marked destination, I am immediately met with a taser and knocked unconscious. Again. This man needs some serious medical treatment with how much damage he is taking. Big reveal, the doctor from earlier is alive and is with Victor. Apparently Victor is also alive, Victor Petrov. Luckily, she is a doctor and will do her best to heal P3, who continues to shit talk as he is strapped down. In a rage, P3 decides that he must continue his hunt for Victor Petrov, which requires an even longer car ride. Victor is a little fruity, and so I track him down to a theater. Unfortunately, there's this guy who knocked us down our second elevator early in the story, but now we are strong and can take any... or I guess he's only vulnerable to explosive damage, so we had to load a save, make a cannon, and alright, now let's destroy him. Bang, bang, bang! One dead robot later, and I'm caught up to this Victor guy. Down some hidden stairs, and yet another elevator we go. Going through a couple of rooms, I see a back area that I want to get to. I tried jumping over some tables and managed to get stuck behind the table with no way to escape. Then I spent 30 minutes troubleshooting my game because for some reason it wouldn't load the area. One file integrity check later and it seems like it's all fixed, so we save and head through to fight another large group of enemies. I get my ass handed to me the first time, but it's pretty typical for me in fights like these. Rearrange some of my gear, and the second time I win no problem. Victor continues to hide somewhere in the theater, taunting me from afar. Up another elevator and off the balcony, I make my way to a dance room where a ballerina robot does a lovely dance for me as I fight off some more brutes. Lots of big group enemy fighting around here, it seems. I get the candle key to open the next door, and Victor seems to have left me the gift of a puzzle that is required in order for me to continue. I have to line the shadows of the robots up with the bloodstains to show that robots are evil and commit murder, or something like that. Make of it what you will. Charles talks to P3 about how the man P3 works for is actually evil, and P3 just doesn't want to believe it despite all of the questionable stuff that has been going on so far, because surely the scientist isn't evil. Freaking delusional. Some epic music plays as Victor enlightens P3 about how difficult robots are to reprogram, meaning P3's boss was definitely in on the murder from the start. He gives me the rings everyone seems to be so flustered about, and then commits Sudoku. I grab his head for safekeeping, likely to deprogram later for special codes or something to end the whole evil robot tirade, and then get attacked by another robot. A few fat boy rockets does him in though. Up another elevator, I get a phone call from the boss about the drop-off location for Victor's head, and so I drive and run there as fast as possible. There is way too much running in this game for how story-based it is. I wish it was more like Half-Life Alyx and had the story beats back to back, because this running thing just seems way pointless to the story and is more annoying than anything. I finally make it to the location that P3's boss asked me to go to drop off Victor's head. On the way down to the lab, I meet a dead guy who says that some scientist named Zaharov actually didn't die. Zaharov is apparently my main boss's partner in crime who mysteriously disappeared and was said to be dead. He isn't dead, apparently, but someone is hiding him? This probably will be important later. Of course, there are more groups of monsters to fight, so I shoot up the area to get into the next door. Not sure why there are so many puzzles and monsters and difficulties getting to a meeting location, but sure, it's fine, I guess. Up some stairs, down some more stairs, through some water goop, fighting another large group, grabbing a door cookie to open the next area. It's been a while since I've saved. Hopefully I can save soon. Oh, another large fighting arena. I hope I don't die. Oh no! I find my way back to the room, grab the cookie, double back and save, and then head into the next big fight room. Not sure why they couldn't just have added a save point before that room, but it's fine, I guess. Finally in the lab, I hand off Victor's head, but then Victor's doctor girlfriend throws a grenade as I have another concussion seizure thing. More liminal spaces and one dead Stockenhausen boss man later, I get a phone call from Victor's doctor ex-girlfriend, and she says she wants to tell me the truth or something like that, so now I have to go to a lighthouse. Don't know why she had to blow me up to do that, but sure. Emerging from the underground lab, another Omni droid shows up. I die with some knowledge on how to beat it. I grab as many Fat Boy rockets as I can fit into my pockets and blow it up. I climb up to the lighthouse, sit in a chair, and it magically opens an elevator to some mysterious underground water type lab. Kind of random. I have not played BioShock, but according to my friend, the one who asked me to play this game, apparently this is very BioShock for no reason.
Literally, he says Rapture for no reason, which is the name of BioShock's underwater city.
Hey look, it's Filatova, the girlfriend! And it's a walking simulator. TLDR, the big reveal is that Sechenov has been doing experiments on people and sending their consciousness to limbo, and taking away their free will using magical neurotransmitters that were injected alongside with the goop juice when getting the controllers on their head installed. She proves this by making everyone in the lab line up and jump. Then P3 has more seizures and is on the brink of going into what we now know is limbo, which is revealed to be the same place as previously whenever everything was super white and weird and for some reason we had a fluffy rabbit body. More walking later, my glove is also revealed to be a person! Charles is actually the dead not dead scientist, Cheriton Zaharov. The man thought to be dead but later revealed to be alive, but hidden for some reason, I don't know. Another door is opened and now we get to know P3's backstory. He was a soldier, which was pretty obvious, and after returning from a job very damaged, Sechenov decided to use both P3 and his now revealed wife in the trials of the experiments shown in the lab before this room with all the people that were jumping. It was successful for P3, but unfortunately his wife was too far gone and just died, so they put her consciousness into some robots. The ones that are hot and are ballerina dancers. They took away most of P3's memories and just left him as an obedient soldier dog. P3 is a test subject and has no free will and has no idea what's going on. P3 can be forced into limbo, aka combat mode, at the whim of his boss man. Into another elevator, and limbo takes over once again! At least Annihilation OST the alien is repeating on extended loop, which is pretty funny.
That book is human greed and
After limbo's over, P3 wakes up next to Grandma with the reveal that she is P3's mother-in-law, the mother of P3's forgotten dead wife, and is also just randomly here. Now, I don't know why we're here. Also, Larissa Filatov is very dead, and apparently P3 spread her around everywhere. We did not get to see this, and we will never mention this again. Now it's time for a big decision. I get to decide whether I'm going to do nothing and just be done with my old boss man, or to go and murder my old boss for revenge, and also because Charles is cool and he wants to do it. And so I run to the area from the beginning of the game, the same area with the absurdly long elevator ride, to find my wife is ready to fight me. Okay, it's not my wife, just the uploaded version of my wife's skills and abilities, but, you know, she was too weak to live consciously, so Sechenov decided to just upload her skills into a robot or two. But we all know that she is really P3's wife. My wife! Up the elevator and more lore is dropped. The Atomic Heart project is revealed to have been planned from the start, no questions asked. All the robots were designed with combat in mind, and the whole plan was to frame robots as friendly, give them as gifts to other countries, and then take over the whole world. This whole thing was merely a proof of concept to show that Collective can work to enslave basically everyone. I find the boss, the man who started this all. Him and Charles fight a bit, and now I have to fight both versions of my wife. Oh. Damn, my wife's sitting on me. I wasn't ready for my wife to do that to me. Oh shit, it's a spam. Or maybe I don't have to fight. Jeez. During the fight, Charles, Sechenov, and some mysterious voice that's probably P3's actual wife all talk over the battle. I kill my wife. Or wives. Both my wife. My wife, wives. Anyways, both of the robot wives later, and it turns out that the big reveals aren't over. Charles has been the one initiating Limbo in P3, not Sechenov, and he's the one who's been killing all of the scientists and all of the people along the way whenever Limbo has been activated. He's the one that killed the scientist during the twin cutscene, he's the one that killed Filatova. Charles is no longer human, self-proclaimed, and believes that humanity is doomed for a better future, a future built for the next phase of evolution, as he calls it. And that's the game. The base game, at least. I don't plan to play the DLCs, at least not soon. Overall, the game was alright. There were a few moments where the game became basically unplayable, talking about the glitches that got me stuck in different locations or made it so that the game refused to load. Combat with large groups also just wasn't all that fun and was more annoying than anything. I did enjoy the boss fights and the puzzles a lot, especially the door lock puzzles. The story was alright. From a storytelling perspective, the ending just feels a bit rushed. The game put a lot of story at the end, and on top of that, they pretty much just told the player all of the things rather than showing them through some kind of story plot. I think that the game's story could have been spread out a little bit more rather than just being all, put at the end, or could have at least spent more time trying to flesh out the characters. P3 pretty much never questions anything throughout the story, and the whole robots are now evil thing just doesn't feel very impactful. Having some story where the robots act normal to juxtapose just how insane it is that non-combat robots are now loaded with weapons could have added a lot to the story by giving the player something to compare their experience to. The evil robot plot just doesn't come across as strongly because it doesn't feel all that surprising that robots are evil, even though the story implies multiple times that robots being evil is a crazy concept, at least in this universe. P3 had said things like, that was a civilian robot after boss fights, which kind of implies that it's supposed to be a crazy concept. But I digress, this isn't really a plot or story analysis video. Thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, consider subscribing. I plan to do more videos like this in the future. I currently have a Phasmophobia video in the works. I streamed this whole game on Twitch, as I said earlier, and if you missed that, you can watch the replay on Twitch, or if it's not there, you can find it on my VODs channel. Both are linked in the description. Also give my buddy Manager Jojo a follow, a subscribe, whatever platform you want to go. I only really played this game because he said none of his other friends could finish it, and I was like, I bet. He has some pretty cool videos, so check him out. That's all for now. See you later.